Work hard for what you want in life.
You work hard for what you want in life.
That your word is your bond, that you do what you say you're going to do.
That your word is your bond, and you do what you say.
That you treat people with dignity and respect.
That you treat people with respect.
Reach of your dreams and your willingness to work hard.
The strength of your dreams and your willingness to work for them.
Work hard.
Work hard.
Work hard.
Work hard.
Work hard. Work hard. Work hard.
Hey guys, I'm Tina.
And it's your girl Milan.
And welcome to episode 17, my God, of the Black Girl Boss Podcast. Whoop, whoop, whoop.
Woo, 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 woo. We almost at episode 20. This came so fast. Like, where is time going?
I know, it's crazy. So y'all, just like we talked about last week, we're going to be starting this week on our series. So Milan, we don't even have a name for this. Like, what are we calling this?
I know. So I was like, when I was brainstorming about the series and everything, I was like, ooh, the real entrepreneurship. Like, I was trying to play off of stuff that people kind of are already keen to and kind of already love. But then it just kept failing because I'm like, no, what can we do that's unique that they love about us to name it? So I'm in a hole right now. So probably by the end of this episode, once we get the conversation flowing, something else will spark.
Yeah, hopefully, because I got nothing. I got nothing at all. So, but you guys, like we said last week, the point of the series is it's more masterclass style. So we can really give you guys some important takeaways, some lessons, some really like textbook type things that are important for the entrepreneurial journey. So of course we have our candid conversations every week and we have a great time, but we just wanted to make sure that in this series we buckle down on some really important topics and things like that. So we're excited about the series. We're going to have some pretty awesome guests over the next few weeks as we talk about different aspects of the entrepreneurial journey. So we're going to talk about, this week we're talking about mindset, but in the upcoming weeks, we're going to talk about finances. We're going to talk about the legal aspect of entrepreneurship. We're going to talk about taxes. We're going to talk about a bunch of stuff, but we're going to talk about marketing. We have a marketing question today, actually. And a lot of you guys always ask us marketing questions. So we're going to make sure we do an episode just on that for you guys. But today we're going to be talking about mindset. And mindset is extremely important when it comes to the entrepreneurial journey, because when you own your own business and you're grinding, trying to get your business off the ground, you're trying to reach your goals and things of that nature, you got to make sure your mind is right, because it takes a lot of mental stamina to be able to live this life. And that's why I say that entrepreneurship is not for everybody. And that's okay. Some people just want to go to work and put in their time and then go home and have a good time. They don't really want to deal with all the risks, the hassles and things like that of entrepreneurship. But if you're an entrepreneur, these are the things that you're going to have to deal with. Everything is not going to go your way. You're going to have days where you don't feel like doing anything at all. You're going to have days where it feels like nothing is going right. You're going to have days where you have goals and you don't accomplish them, or you have these deals on the table and you might lose a deal, or you might lose money. Like, it's a lot that happens on this journey. And so mindset is extremely, extremely important. So for today's episode, we're going to give you guys 5 ways to get your mindset ready to enter business and to stay in business. And so the first point of this is personal development. Personal development is one of the key ways for you to get your mindset ready for entrepreneurship. So for you guys that don't know what personal development is, personal development covers activities that improve awareness and identity. You use personal development to develop talents and potential, build human capital, facilitate employability, enhance the quality of life, and contribute to the realizations of dreams and aspirations. So that's the textbook psychology definition of personal development. My short version of what personal development is how you grow as a person and as an entrepreneur. Simple as that. Like the definition said, it's a process. And so with me, a big part of the Queening Group is personal development, because in order for you to thrive in life and business, you have to get your life together, and personal development is extremely important. And so as it relates to mindset, you have to work on mindset. Like, when you're an entrepreneur, like I said before, y'all, it's a lot of risks. It's not necessarily something that is super, well, it's a little more popular now, but it's not something that is totally popular to be a full-time entrepreneur. Like, a side hustling is really popular right now. So you have a 9 to 5, but then you have your business on the side. And you may want to grow your business to be your full-time business, but you still have that safety net of a 9 to 5, and you're not really doing all the work that it takes to make that transition. And so with personal development, you really, really need that in order to make that transition, in order to sustain. So, Milan, do you do anything for personal development as it relates to your business or your life in general?
Absolutely. I definitely, one thing that I do is now, I didn't do it before, but like I pushed myself into doing it. And it's something that has made a huge change, was taking at nighttime time for myself. Definitely time for myself to read, to reflect on the day, do a day of reflection on what went bad, what went good, whatever. And I've done it on Snapchat a couple of times where I'll let everybody know, reflection of the day, this, that, and the third. But it's helped because I'm finding that personal space, personal time. And when I get to reflect on my day, or I get a chance just to read, I may come up with a new idea, or if I'm reflecting on it, it'll just help me for the next day and put things, into a better perspective. So that's something that's definitely helped that I didn't do before. I was just always go, 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 get it done. But it was never, where is that personal time for you to take time to develop in yourself?
Yeah, that's extremely important. And I want to point out, y'all, that she said that she's the type that's really fast, that likes to go, go, go. So a part of her growing in her personal development, in her character, and in her journey is to slow down and be a little bit more mindful. And so mindfulness is something that we often overlook. And it's actually something that's become a lot really popular as it relates to like entrepreneurship and stuff like that. But mindfulness is extremely, extremely important. And for me, something I had to work on a little bit was my approach in dealing with people. So one of my favorite books is How to Win Friends and Influence People. And I read this book in college because y'all know my story of growing up. I was in my harsh environment. It molded me to be very like blunt, kind of guarded in a way. In a lot of the sense, I was a straight shooter. I still am a straight shooter. I just know how to frame my words a little better. But I was a straight shooter. I was going to tell you whatever I felt I didn't even care how you felt about it. Like, it was bad. It was to the point where even if I was saying something good, my tone was so crazy. Like, you couldn't even receive what it is that I'm saying. Like, I'm jumping down your throat. And so going into entrepreneurship, especially when I'm dealing with people, and even though my heart was always good, my heart was always open to helping people, my tone and approach and relationship building needed work, because I wouldn't say my attitude, but just because I didn't know how to talk to people. And so How to Win Friends and Influence People was a really good book for me to work on myself as a person. So now I can talk to people and get a point across without being totally harsh. Like, I can still stay to my core of being an honest person, of being a straightforward person, but frame my messaging in a way to where it's still received. And so, again, that's another huge part of personal development, guys. And before you can even get to the personal development part, you gotta be self-aware and know yourself, know your strengths, know your weaknesses. One of the modules for the Queening Group, we talk about Maslow's hierarchy of needs. And Abraham Maslow is a famous psychologist who came up with this pyramid of a hierarchy of needs. And it talks about the different steps it takes to reach the top of the pyramid, which is self-actualization, which is a step above self-esteem. And so the 3 foundational questions of that is, who am I? Am I really who I say I am? And am I all I ought to be? And so when I first learned about this and I asked myself those questions, the answers to the second 2 shocked me. So I defined who I am, or who I was at that time. But then when I got to the second question of, am I really who I say I am? If I was keeping it real with myself, I wasn't really who I said I was, because of a lot of the foundational foundational troubles that I had, or a lot of the character flaws that I had that I needed to work on. And the last question of, am I all I ought to be? The answer to that was flat out no, because I had to do a lot of work in order to get to where I want to be. And so a lot of people hop into entrepreneurship without really addressing those core issues or those core character flaws. I mean, if you have an attitude problem in real life, you're not going to be a businesswoman and not have an attitude problem. It's not going to happen. Or if you are, let's say, insensitive in real life, you're not going to be compassionate as an entrepreneur. Those foundational character traits that you have are going to translate into your entrepreneurial journey. If you have low self-esteem as a regular person, then you're going to have low self-esteem in business. You're going to be second guessing yourself all the time. You're going to be doubting yourself all the time. So personal development is extremely important, because you're just going to take all of that baggage that you have in your day-to-day life and apply it to business. And then you're going to sit and try to figure out, like, well, why am I not accomplishing my goals? Why am I not seeing the things that I want to see in business? Why am I not advancing the way that I want to advance? Not realizing that the daddy issues that you have, that you've been holding on your whole life, are the same issues that are preventing you from reaching that next level in your life. And you may not think that those two directly correlate, but they do. That low self-esteem is going to ruin almost everything in your business life, because you're not going to be having the mindset that you need to have. You're not going to have the attitude, the confidence that's necessary to really make it as an entrepreneur. So personal development is extremely important, you guys. And at the end, I'm going to list some books that I personally love, and I'm going to put them in the show notes. And also, I suggest, if you have a area that you want to work on in your life, just find books around that, or find different, let's say, classes or podcasts or whatever that center around that, so you can start working on it now, so you don't take that same baggage into your entrepreneurial journey.
You know, everything Tatum said, guys, is so true. And I think another part of like personal development, Tatum and I talk about this all the time. We mentioned it several times on the show. Around you, the people around you. That's another thing with personal development. Like, as you grow and you know that you're growing, you have to remove people that aren't growing with you. And if you don't, that's going to really, 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 really damage your personal growth, because they're still stagnant. They're still in this complacent place, and they're going to sometimes try to put you in that same place. They're going to try to put you in a sunken place. Wait, Tam, did you see Get Out? You saw Get Out, right? So I can say that, and you know what that means.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Okay. Yeah, they're going to put you in a sunken place, and you're going to stay there. So just keep in mind, as you grow and you do your personal development, just keep in mind those around you. And we're not saying like, oh, you got to throw everybody out because you're growing. But if they're not helping with your growth and they're trying to keep you, like I said, in that sunken place, or keeping you stagnant, they got to go. They have to go. So that's just my piece. I'm definitely 100% with everything that Tatum said. I just wanted to throw that piece in there too.
Yeah, I'm totally with you. Because even Tiona said on the Proverbs 31 Boss episode, she was saying that you have to be around people who speak to the winner in you. And that's so important, because you're not going to always be motivated on your entrepreneurial journey. You're not going to always be in this super confident mode all the time. It's going to be some really vulnerable moments. Because even for me right now, getting ready to launch the Queen Group next week, or May 1st, I think that's next week. It's an extremely vulnerable time for me right now, because it's like all this stuff I've been working on is now about to be finished and ready for the public. You know what I mean? And now I have to hustle so I can make sure that I'm meeting my goals and things like that. So it's a vulnerable time right now. I'm extremely confident in myself, of course, but I'm still nervous. You know what I mean? I'm still like, dang, I put all of this into these things. I hope people like it. And, you know, not only do I hope they invest in it, but I hope it really helps them, because I really put so much into it and I genuinely care. So I can't, if you don't have the right people in your corner, and if I didn't have the right people in my corner, then I wouldn't be able to share that vulnerable moment with them. And even if I did, they probably would, you know, shoot me down or reflect their fears onto me or whatever. And then I'll be second guessing myself and my business and what I'm doing. So like Milan said, who you keep around you is extremely important. And they don't have to be entrepreneurs. Like, I have friends who they don't know anything about business necessarily. But if I say, man, I'm nervous about this launch, like I hope people like it, they're gonna be like, look, you're going to be fine. Like, you know, we know that you're going to do great. People are going to receive it. Like, they're speaking life into me. They don't have to know the behind the scenes business part, but they know me and they know what I'm capable of, and they love me and want me to see me successful. So they're going to speak those positive things into me. So having that circle, y'all, like Milan said, is extremely, extremely important. So let's go to number 2, the second way to get your mindset ready to enter and stay in business. But number 2 is you have to possess grit. So grit is firmness of character and indomitable spirit. So I had to look that up twice because I didn't know what they were talking about in definition. So someone else defined grit as perseverance and passion for long-term goals. And the key to this, y'all, is long-term goals. When you have grit, when you have that trait, then that means that you're willing to do whatever it takes to reach your long-term goals, that you're willing to stick the course. You're willing to put up with the highs and the lows of entrepreneurship in order to stay the course. There's actually a book out that I really want to get. I'm about to Google it right now. I didn't write it down, but I really want to get this book. It's called Grit, The Power of Passion and Perseverance by Angela Duckworth. And I saw this book in Barnes and Nobles, and I read a couple pages of it. And from what I read, it was amazing. So once I have a little bit more time, I'm going to get this book. But grit is extremely important, y'all. And the reason why this is something that I felt was worth mentioning is because we live in a world now of like instant gratification. And instant gratification is the opposite of grit. Instant gratification is the desire to experience pleasure or fulfillment without delay or deferment. So that basically means you want what you want right now. And that's not going to work. In your entrepreneurial journey, you have to be patient. You're not going to get everything that you want right when you want it. It's just not going to happen. So having that character trait of grit means that you have what it takes to really stay the course, to not get knocked off track because something didn't go your way, or to totally give up on your dreams because it's not happening fast enough. Or Big Sean had a line in one of his songs. It was like, he said it took me 10 years to be an overnight success. So we feel like when we see people that are successful, that it just happened for them, or it happened so quick, not realizing all of the preparation and the back work that had to happen in order for them to get to that level. And so I think that's why this podcast is so important, because we're really talking about our day to day. Like when we started this podcast in December, I was very much so in my job and had no clue when I was leaving. But here we are 17 weeks later to where all that's changed for me. You know what I'm saying? And by the time we get to our 1-year anniversary, Milan will be self-employed by then. We'll both be in whole new milestones in our business. And y'all get to see the preparation. Well, some of the preparation, because we were working hard way before we even started the show. But y'all get to see like a lot of that preparation that went into making that happen. So when it happens, y'all not like, oh, it happened so quick for them. It's like, nah, they went through all of this. They was on a podcast talking about how this didn't happen for them, or Tatum was talking about how she didn't get this grant, or Milan was saying how this partnership that she wanted for the award show didn't work out, but they still made it to whatever that level of success is. So again, y'all, grit is like extremely important. If you don't have these character traits, you're probably not going to make it far as an entrepreneur. And I'm sorry if that sounds harsh, but I'm just keeping it real with you. This podcast isn't really about bubblegum and roses. Like, it's about real talk. So if you're going to be that type of person who want things to happen really, really fast, you might even get lucky and get quick success, but it's not going to maintain. You're not going to build a legacy for your family because you have a shaky foundation. So I don't know, Milan, you got anything to add to that? Because I know I can rap all day.
No, but it's so true. And I think it brings us back to what I screenshot and sent you. Well, I don't even remember what day it was, what I saw on Facebook. You remember what I'm talking about?
No.
Okay, so basically, can I say this? We always have to be careful on how we say things, and remain transparent at the same time. Okay, so we had the episode where we had, a married couple, entrepreneur couple, and everything. I get on Facebook, somebody's looking to do the same thing. So I'm like, okay.
Okay, I remember.
Yeah, so I'm like, okay. That's one incident. I put on an event. The person puts on an event very similar. It's been so many things that have been so similar, but I say that to say this person is older than Tatum and I. They've been doing this whole entrepreneur life for a lot of years now. I can't say the years because then it'll kind of be a dead giveaway, but a lot of years now. And granted, they took how many ever years it took them to get where they're at, but now they're in a place where they're trying to pull ideas from other people. And that just goes back to what Tatum said. Like, if your success is overnight and it's so quick, you're going to have trouble later on in life trying to basically stay relevant. And that's something we're definitely going to talk about in this series, how to remain relevant after a certain point. But, they're like in this point now, whereas they're piggybacking, or I hate that word. Why did I say that? Shoot. Pinching off of the millennials. Like, that's what they're doing. They're pinching off of us and they're changing and making it into their own. But it's like, okay, how effective is that going to be for you? And granted, their success came when certain artists or certain persons were in the know and definitely popping and doing what they do. So they had that success really fast, and now it's slowing down, but they didn't prepare themselves for that. So it's like, yeah, you had it then, but you didn't think about what's going to happen when this person slows down, or you didn't think about what am I going to be 10 years later? I'm 23 right now, entrepreneur doing this, but what happens when I'm 33?
Yeah, and I think that I'm about to be choosing my words too, but I think that with that person or with certain people, once you connect yourself to a celebrity, that definitely drives your business, because then people are going to be like reaching out to you or whatever. You kind of get that extra clout, so to speak, to continue moving on. But if you don't get those foundational things together, once you stop working with those quote unquote celebrities, and I'm going to hip y'all that's listening to some game real quick. Do not believe everything that you be saying on social media or what people accolades say. Here's an example. Let's say in my bio, it says I've worked with, let's say I'm a event planner, and in my bio or in my marketing materials or website or whatever, I'm saying I've worked with, I've assisted with A-list events like the BET Awards. I could have literally opened the door for the celebrities that walked in there. I could have been the person to not do anything really, like a volunteer or somebody that picked up Beyonce's pearls if something fell off her dress, like whatever. I could have been that person not really doing anything and could still say to you, who I'm trying to get to pay me to do your events, I could still say to you, I assisted with A-list events like the BET Awards. So I hope y'all get what I'm saying. Like, people really will BS you. So definitely fact check people that you work with. And by fact check, look at their testimonials. See who they've worked with that has something to say about them, as opposed to who they're saying they worked with. So if they say they work with Beyonce, if Beyonce ain't validating that, then be a little weary about them, because they're probably just slicing whatever small role that they played. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that, but at the same time, you just have to use discernment, so to speak. But to go back to what Milan is saying, after you finish working with those celebrities, or after you finish all of these A-list things that you quote unquote helped out with, once that wears out, like she said, you're back to the foundation. And if that foundation isn't right, then you're back to square one. And all of these 20 years of work that you've done doesn't mean anything, because now you're in the same ball game or the same playing field as people who just started, because you didn't do what you needed to do. And I would even say I've seen this happen in real life. Like, there's been people who I've worked or I thought was in a good position in their business based off of social media or whatever. and I might have reached out to them either for their services or for mentorship or whatever, and they were like either rude to me or just kind of looked down on me, because at that point I was just somebody with an idea or somebody that wanted to do something, that was working on getting it started, but I didn't actually make it anywhere yet. So they looked at me as this little person who didn't really matter. And again, character flaws, y'all. We talking about personal development and mindset and stuff. These character flaws, they were rude and things of that nature. And then me now going into the Queen Academy launched in 2016. So a little over a year being actively in my business. I'm at the same events as these people, speaking at the same events as these people, have the same connections as these people. So why is it that you have been working for 30 years? I've been working for under 2, and we on the same level at this point. Something's not right. You know what I mean? Something ain't right in your heart. Something ain't right in how you living. You doing something to block your blessings. So that's why we're talking about this, because we don't want y'all to be that person. Don't be that person with that bad attitude that's only nice to people you think you can get something out of. Because the right person will read right through all of that stuff. So definitely don't be that person. Work on that personal development. Definitely possess that grit, that spirit, to where you're that hustler's mentality, not necessarily hustlers, but that grinder's mentality, to where you're willing to just work hard to accomplish those long-term goals, as opposed to just putting in minimal effort for something to get rich quick. Like, that's not what this entrepreneurial journey is about. It's about hard work and doing the right thing and having a solid foundation for your business, not just out here trying to make a quick buck and then roll out. If that's what you want to do, then go do that. But that's not what we're talking about here. So next, number 3, emotional intelligence. The emotional intelligence is defined as the ability to identify and manage your own emotions and the emotions of others. It is generally said to include 3 skills: emotional awareness, the ability to harness emotions and apply them to tasks like thinking and problem solving, and the ability to manage emotions, which includes regulating your own emotions and cheering up or calming down other people. Now, emotional intelligence is something that a lot of people do not possess. And it's something that especially a lot of women don't possess, because what you about to say?
Y'all, Taylor be helping me with my emotional intelligence. Because I don't know. Listen, I be having 12 different emotions, and Taylor be like, okay, we're not going to approach it this way. This is what we're going to do. I say, yeah, because I'm going to go in there and I'm going to smack the hell out of her. Taylor be like, no. But in my mind, that's logical at that time. But Tatum has to bring me back and help me recognize what's going on. And I'm like, you know what? You are so right, because then I'm be in jail. And then, she brings it back, so that I be losing it sometimes. So this conversation about to get real.
Yes, emotional intelligence is important. And I'm not going to sit here and fake to y'all like emotional intelligence is something that I worked and mastered. I'm just naturally not an emotional person. So it has nothing to do with personal development, me. I just am not an emotional person. That's just not my makeup. I'm very level-headed. I choose logic over emotion. So I like to think things through and things of that nature. That's just naturally who I am. So I understand for people who are naturally really emotional, how difficult it could be. Because I couldn't imagine if I was naturally an emotional person, because I'll probably be like Milan, ready to punch somebody in their face if they piss me off. But emotional intelligence is extremely important, because there are going to be times where you have to work with people that you do not like. There are going to be times where people are going to try you so much, and you have to sit there and be professional and remember, keep to the forefront of your mind that you have a business, you have things to lose. You're out here trying to make it to your next level. You can't react all the time. So emotional intelligence really, really takes work. And there's a book that I love. It's called, first it's a book called Emotional Intelligence 2.0. I haven't read this one yet. This is another one on my, I want to read within the next few months list. But the book that I'm currently reading is called 12 Things Mentally Strong People Don't Do by Amy Morin. And this is a really, really a great book. Amy Morin is a social worker. Yeah, she's a social worker. And so she gives a lot of examples about how people choose to do the opposite of what they should do. Well, okay, so here's an example. One of the 12 things is mentally strong people don't feel sorry for themselves or don't throw pity parties for themselves. And so she gave this example about this family. And so the little boy in the family got hit by a bus. So he lived, he just had, he was paralyzed from the waist down. So the parents wouldn't take him back to school because they didn't want him to get ridiculed. So the parents kept telling him that you have to mentally prepare yourself. You're not going to be normal like the other kids. You have to work twice as hard as everybody else. They were trying to, or they were saying like your life is going to be different. You're not going to be able to do the things everybody else does. Now, they were trying to be good parents. You know, they were their intentions, sorry, y'all, their intentions were to prepare him mentally for what his life may be. But consequently, they were just messing up his mood. Like, he went from being a happy and active kid to talking to just being very negative and talking down on himself and just having no energy. All he did was play video games and things like that. So his parents were throwing a pity party for him and throwing a pity party for himself. So he had went to a therapy lesson, and oh wait, it's 13 things mentally strong people don't do. So why? Hold on, yeah. So while my boyfriend just came into the room, right, and he brought me a note that says 13 things mentally strong people don't do. I said 12, so I guess he eavesdropping. But thanks, boo. But yeah, so with the family, they took the little boy to a psychology lesson, and the little boy was working with the therapist, and the therapist had him do like a coloring book or create a book. And so he created a book to where it was a little boy who got into a fight with the bus and won. So his whole perspective now was different just off of this book. So instead of looking at himself like he was a loser or his life was going to be terrible because he had these disabilities from getting hit by a bus, now he was cool. He was the guy who got hit by a bus or got into a fight with a bus and won. And so he would go to school when they enrolled him back in school, and he was reading his book to the class, and the picture was like a little boy in a wheelchair with like a cape on, like a superhero cape. And it just shows the importance of being mentally strong, because if you are the type to throw yourself a pity party, then your mindset is going to be jacked up, or you're going to spend days feeling sorry for yourself. Or if you set a goal for the quarter or a goal for the year and you don't reach it, then now you're sad. Now your business is just going down the drain because you're throwing a pity party because you didn't get what it is that you wanted. So emotional intelligence, y'all, is like extremely, extremely important. And emotional intelligence when you're at work. So a lot of our listeners are working a 9-to-5 while trying to build their business, and they hate their jobs. So it takes a lot of emotional intelligence to be able to deal with a boss at work, even how difficult, or it doesn't matter how difficult your boss is. But if you have a boss that's like a total asshole, then it should be really, really hard. It might be really hard for you guys to balance that, knowing that you have this whole business outside of work. I know it was hard for me to balance dealing with work and people talking to me any kind of way, and people having me or asking me to do all these things that I didn't want to do. All I wanted to do was work in my business. Like, I get it, but you have to be emotionally intelligent and be able to deal with that. And another thing that it says in this definition is, emotional intelligent people have the ability to harness emotions and apply them to tasks like thinking and problem solving. So that means if you're in a situation and you're so mad, or a client pisses you off, or a person pisses you off so bad that you can't even think straight, that's not good for business, because no matter how you feel, you have to be able to think and problem solve. That's your job as the owner of a business. You have to solve problems. So it doesn't matter how that problem made you feel. You take the time to like acknowledge how you feel and understand how you feel, but get to the point of problem solving. Like even with Milan, when Milan calls me with issues and stuff and I let her vent, I'll be like, okay, so what you gonna do? So, all right, I hear you. So what's the outcome? Okay, cool. So how is that? How are you going to deal with that? Like, I never let her talk to me without having a solution, because you have to make sure that you keep your mind set on, no matter how I feel, you have to come up with a solution. Otherwise, you're going to just be wasting time. So
Y'all just be so over people. That's it. I'm, I'm just like, I told y'all, I say this every episode, every other episode. I'm really crazy. Like, Tatum watches me through my emotions, and sometimes she just stare at me. Like, she just be looking, but it's just because she knows I got to get through my emotions. Like, I legit can be really logical. It's just, I just be so over people at the time. And I'm like, why are you trying me? Because I put, when you are very passionate about what you do and you put so much into it and you dedicate so much and try to, do the best outcome for your clients or whatever it may be. And then you see the devil trying to test your hand. You like, seriously? Like, you must really want to fight. Like, and that's how it seems. But, most of the time I'm actually very nonchalant when it comes to certain things and saying, like, that's not good either. No, you can't act like that. And I'm just like, I just don't even care. Deep down, I really do care. And I have, like she said, she'll never let me leave the call without a solution or, something after that, which is always good. Because in those moments, you're just needing to vent it out, which is fine, whether you vent it out to your diary, to your friend, or to whomever, versus to the person that you had the issue with or that you're in business with or dealing with, whatever the case may be, venting that out and then having that clear mind. So with emotional intelligence, I think the most important piece is, yes, you can be emotional. Tatum's not really emotional, which is fine, but she's very logical. I'm the one that carry some emotion. Sometimes I'm up and down with it. I can care. Sometimes I don't care. But at the end of the day, the most important piece is the logic of it, the strategic plan behind it. So be emotional, but just knowing how to direct those emotions, knowing that you can't lash out. Like, I would never just lash out at a client, like, bow and just come off and say what I want to say, or in a business meeting, if I don't agree with something, or at work, I'm not just going to lash out. I'm going to step away, vent it out, call Tatum, call whoever I need to call, and then come back at the situation. So I think that is the most important piece, knowing how to differentiate the two and when to do it, and knowing what works for you. What may work for me and Tatum or somebody else is not going to be your release. So really take the time out after listening to this and reflect on certain situations that you've been in and really think about how you've handled them, and then think about how you can improve. And that just goes back up to personal development.
Yeah, I totally agree. And then like Milan says, she goes out, like, she disconnects herself from what the problem is, and then she vents. She gets it out. She gets what she has to get out before she goes back and addresses the problem. So for you guys, if emotions is something that you're struggling with, come up with an outlet. Figure out who are those people that you can call and you can just let it all out, and they'll give you wisdom or they'll give you whatever. Or if you don't have those people, then figure out what that is. Is it going to the gym? Like, I found a coloring book. I didn't buy it, though. I think I'm going to get one soon. And it was like a mindfulness coloring book. And so I kind of did a little bit of research, and studies were showing how coloring, especially for people in business and stuff like that, it really helps, like, de-stress or get your mind off of the things that's going on. And I would have never thought of that. Like, I haven't touched a crayon in about 15 years, but it's something that I can see how it helps people. So whether it be getting like one of those mindfulness coloring books, or going to the gym, or just disconnecting for a second and doing something that you like, and then going back and addressing the problem later. Just figure out what it is that you can do so that you don't let your emotions block your blessings, or you don't let your emotions come in the way of your entrepreneurial journey. We're not telling you to go from an emotional person to an ice box. Everybody's different. We're just telling you to try to figure out some ways to where you can manage it. Because I told y'all, I'm the opposite. I'm like not an emotional person, but I used to be the type of person who was really cold. So now I've found a balance just off of personal development and growing as a woman. I've come to a great place. But before, I was like an icebox. What emotions? I didn't have them. Now I have them. I'm just not emotional. But back then it was like, no, I was borderline mean. Like, it was bad. But I had to do some work. I had to figure out, how can I be a compassionate person? Like, how can I be a more loving person? How can I be somebody who can articulate how I feel in a way that doesn't put somebody else down? So no matter what side of the spectrum you're on, we all have to work on things. And so if emotional intelligence is that thing, then get that book, Emotional Intelligence 2.0, or write down that list of people that you can call to help calm you down if something happens, or find that outlet and just do some brainstorming. So that's y'all homework for this part. Like, do some brainstorming on what you can do if trouble comes your way to kind of like get it out before you address the problem. Okay, number 4 is spirituality. A lot of people do not really include spirituality when it comes to your mindset. And I don't even know why. Because, like, I don't know what religion you guys are, but I'm a Christian. So with me, I'm realizing on my faith journey how the Bible has just so much information. Like, I don't even have to learn, like, have to go outside of the Bible for a lot of things. Now, I'm a book nerd, so I do like to read books, but the Bible has a lot of things that you can apply to your life. Like, when I was leaving my job and I was looking for, when I put in my notice for my job and was looking for encouragement, I had to find some scriptures that lined up with what I'm trying to accomplish. Like, I found scriptures on success. I found scriptures on God being a provider. Because one of the things that to be real with y'all, that I was nervous about was just, what if I just can't support myself? Like, that was a real concern of mine. And so finding scriptures to where God talks about how he's a provider, finding scriptures to where God is telling you his promises for your life. So like he says, all things work for the greater good of those who believe in the Lord. So if you know that you're a Christian and you love God, you know that things are going to work out for your good, or that he's going to give you the desires of your heart. So if your desires of your heart is to be a successful entrepreneur or a 6-figure business owner, a millionaire or whatever, or just self-employed, then you have to understand that God is going to provide those things for you. So just really utilizing spirituality. And that's something that has helped me just my whole life, but has been extremely important for me as an entrepreneur. Because even like now in my little boot camp of creating better habits, I try to pray even before I work on my business, because I want to make sure that what I'm doing is of God. So I will pray and ask God, like, okay, I'm about to start working on this. So, please speak through me, or please put ideas in my head that's going to help me serve your people and things like that. And some days I come up with really great ideas, and I know that they're God's ideas because I asked him to be a part of my business. And it gives me so much joy and so much peace about my entrepreneurial journey. And it helps put my mind at ease, because as entrepreneurs, we naturally have minds that just run so fast. Like, we have so many ideas. It's so much going on up there. Like, I totally get it. But having that spirituality piece to me has really helped with my mindset. And it's really helped me to, instead of getting down about something or automatically going to something that may be a little negative, if I hit a roadblock, I automatically think of what God said is meant for me. So it really helps me a lot. I don't know. How do you feel about that, Milan? Does spirituality help you on your journey?
Absolutely. I'm like we said before, it's so funny that we're doing these series, and I think about everything that we talked about. It's kind of like we're going back into things that we said and now digging a lot deeper. We've always said that God is your best business partner. And I've started recently reading the Bible. I've read scripture out the Bible, go to church, you hear the Bible, but I've never actually sat there and read it. I've tried. Don't get me wrong, I have tried. But the cometheth and seeketheth and, things like that kind of throw me off. I actually had to find a version of the Bible that I understood. And I use the Sprinkler of Jesus app. They have a Bible on there, and it's not the cometheth, the King James Version. That King James Version is actually kind of like their version, the Sprinkler of Jesus app's version of the Bible, but they just kind of explain it so you understand exactly what's being said. So
like
I was like, what did they say?
The Message Bible, that's the translation?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
The Message Bible is the translation. So I started from the beginning, of course, the book of Genesis. So that's where I'm at, and I'm working my way through, because I say, I want this relationship with God. I want God in my life, fully. I want him to take the forefront and do all these things, but I don't even understand, what's been said. I've been trying to understand. I get it when your pastor or our pastor brings the message, you get that, but you don't understand everything within it. So I started, like I said, I started reading it from the beginning. But everything that I do, I hand it to God first. It's never like, okay, let me try to do this. And then if I can't do it, then I'm going to bring God into it. No, I'm giving it to him first, because at the end of the day, this life has been planned before we were even put here. My life was planned before I came out. I just have to trust in him and follow his footsteps and pray on that guidance and do everything in the best light in his faith to ensure that those things come to light. And that's just how I've been operating. And ever since I, started doing that, putting God in the forefront of everything. And this was before I even started reading the Bible, not rereading, but reading the Bible. I noticed how things turned around, relationships turned around. The way I operate within business turned around. The things that are put in front of me, are now different as far as business wise. So I definitely agree. God is definitely, or whomever you believe in, is the person that's going to get you there. That's your best business partner. That's the only person, the only thing that's going to make things happen how they happen. Besides you just, like I said, putting the work in and putting that faith. But other than that, if you don't have that faith and you're not willing to put the work, then you have nothing.
I agree. And I would even recommend another book for y'all. Sorry, I have a book for everything. But Joyce Meyer's book, How to Hear from God. So when I started to commit more to my faith journey, I couldn't really figure out, how do I hear from God? Like, how do I know that God is talking to me? And it's not just my own thoughts, or it's not just the devil trying to manipulate me. And so that book really helped me a lot with figuring out how to know that God is talking to me. And now it's something that I feel like I'm getting better at. Like I can recognize when God is talking to me. Like I knew that I got the confirmation that I prayed about to leave my job. Like it's a journey. Like just like you have an entrepreneurial journey, the faith journey is a journey as well, because a lot of us are turned away from like organized religion, right? We always say I'm more spiritual than religious or whatever. And I just think that's just a necessary conversation to take part in. So I really don't ever engage in that conversation, because I just think it's a waste of time. But just really getting into that process of strengthening your faith and strengthening your relationship with God, and getting out of I go to church on Sundays and that's enough, because it's not. I mean, if there's a lot of things that I do once a week that I can't tell you. Like I watch certain shows, I don't know what happened on that show for real until it comes on again and they give me like a little recap. It's the same thing with church. Like you go to church on Sunday and you feel good, it's great, and you go about your week, it's not ingrained in your mind. And to me, something that I did on this little boot camp that I was on, off social media and all that. So I gave up social media and I gave up trap music. So y'all know I love my trap music, but I gave it up because what I was trying to do was, one, create more disciplined habits, like I told y'all before, but I wanted to make sure that my mind was programmed to go to positive things as opposed to negative things. So when we get to scrolling on social media, we are consuming a bunch of garbage a lot of the times. Or when we're listening to certain music or like trap music, we're consuming a lot of garbage a lot of the times. But if we eliminate those things, and even if it's just for a period of time like I did, now I can see how, if I have a problem, like, I'm gonna give you an example. So my dog got sick this week. And so as opposed to me just being like, and the vet was telling me, oh my goodness. So first of all, this little fool, I don't know what he ate, but he ate something. And so he had got like pancreatitis. So I took him to the vet, and they had to keep him. So the lady was going over all the charges with me. So he got health insurance. So I'm like hoping that his health insurance covers like some of this. And so the lady goes through all the charges. So my charge for the first day was $545. I was like, what, for a little dog? Oh my God. So I was like, all right. So I left him there. He stayed there. He got what he needed. So then I had to bring him back the next day and leave him there all day again. That was another $200. So I'm like, I'm trying so hard not to get sucked into the factor, because I could feel my mind going to, yo, I'm about to leave my job. The last thing I need, and I planned my expenses, the last thing I need is an $800 bill, unexpectedly. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, I felt my mind wanted to go there, automatically kicked in Jehovah Jireh, God is my provider. You know what I mean? Like it just switched up. So I wasn't really tripping off the money that I had to spend because I knew that God was going to provide for me. Or even with my dog, like I love my dog. So with him being sick and seeing how he was acting, it was like hurting me, you know, and then the vet was saying like he might have to have surgery and all this other stuff. So like me and my boyfriend like prayed for the dog, like, you know what I'm saying? And I was just praying and just having faith that he was going to be healed, because as far as I'm concerned, if the Bible says I'm healed, then that applies to my pet as well. So and now he's fine. You know, he didn't have to have surgery or anything like that. But it just shows the power of mindset and how me training my mind, so to speak, by eliminating certain things and listening to gospel more, and listening to more personal development audios and listening to positive things more, was really helping me to train my subconscious to focus on those things, as opposed to what all of our natural reactions is to a lot of times go to the negative side of things. So it really takes a conscious effort to change your mindset. It's not something that's going to happen overnight. And that really worked for me. I mean, shout out to Tish. She sent me her praise and worship playlist on Apple Music a while ago. But that's the one I listen to every day. Or I listen to Eric Thomas podcast. I listen to Gary Vaynerchuk's podcast. I listen to a bunch of different podcasts and just positive things, just to make sure that my mind stays in both a good spiritual place and in a productive entrepreneurial place. So again, y'all, this mindset thing, it takes time, and spirituality is an extremely important part. God is your best business partner. So don't think that you can just go out here and have long-term success on your own. Like, it's not going to work. You have to have God be a part of it.
In church today, they said never get immune to worship, because if you truly worship God in spirit and truth, worship can only be offered up from one spirit relationship.
Say that one more time.
No problem. I gotta go back to my notes. I closed it out. Okay. Never get immune to worship, because if you truly worship God in spirit and truth, worship can only be offered up from one relationship, and one spirit, and that's relationship.
That's good. I like that. I like that. Okay, so number 5, the last thing is affirmations. So I know y'all hear a lot of entrepreneurs talk about affirmations all the time, but this is something that's extremely important. An affirmation is simply a declaration or an assertion or proclamation. You're basically speaking things into existence. And so this is extremely important as well, because you have to understand, when it comes to mindset, a big part of that is the mind. And you have to train your subconscious. So one thing that I learned from psychologists is that your brain has the top level, it's like an iceberg. So it's like you have that above the water type, that above the water part, and then you have like the under the water part. And so the under the water part is your subconscious, and your subconscious is what determines your emotions. That's where your habits, not your emotions, your actions. That's where your habits come in. That's where the things that you do naturally come in. So if any of y'all psychologists, sorry I'm jacking this up, but I'm trying to explain it as best as I can. But the purpose of mindset is to train your mind to do what you want it to do. So if you're trying to improve your mindset, go to see what psychologists are saying. And one of the things that they're saying is affirmations work. You create vision boards so that you can have a visual, of what success looks like to you. So you can have that reminder of why you're working so hard. So here's some practical things that you can do to better your mindset for your entrepreneurial journey. Create those affirmations. In the Queen and Grill, we have both an affirmation guide, to where I teach you what an affirmation is, and then you're able to fill them in. And then I also have a workbook where it's like, I think it's about 30 affirmations for women in business. So I basically wrote a lot of them for you. But affirmations are important. Having that vision board is important, because you're going to have low moments. don't think for 1 second that your entrepreneurial journey is going to be all wins and excitement and accomplishments. You're going to have some very dark moments, but you have to be proactive about that. And that's what affirmations and vision boards do. Like I told y'all before, when I knew I wanted to leave my job, I wrote my resignation letter back in June of last year, and it was on my wall, on my vision board, and every single day I read it. Every single day. I didn't know how I was going to get to that point. I didn't know what I was going to do or how things were going to transpire for me to actually hit send on that. But I had it up there because I knew that that's what I was working towards, and I was going to have faith that it was going to happen. And so for me, when I put in my resignation letter, for me to be able to go back to that exact same letter that I wrote so long early, like almost a year before, it was the most amazing thing I could have ever felt, because it just shows the power of affirmations, of having a vision and things like that. So now my affirmation is up on the wall. It says I'm a 6-figure business owner. And every single day before I get to work, I tell myself I'm a 6-figure business owner. And I will guarantee y'all, I'm going to tell you another story, however long from now, and be like, hey guys, I'm a 6-figure business owner. Remember on the episode 17 of the podcast, I was telling y'all that was my affirmation. Like, this is real stuff. This is stuff that you have to practice and watch. And I know you may be skeptical. So for y'all that may be skeptical of this, just practice it. It doesn't cost you any money or anything to write affirmations and say them every day. So you put those things on your wall, and you put those things in front of you. And of course you do the work on the back end. Like, let's be clear, faith without works is dead. So put the work on the back end and watch those things manifest in your life. So yes, number 5 is affirmations. So again, I'm going to do a recap. 5 ways to get your mindset ready to enter and stay in business is 1, personal development. 2, you have to possess grit. 3, emotional intelligence. 4, spirituality. And 5, affirmations. So Lon, you got anything to take or to add to those 5 before we go to the takeaways?
So for affirmations, discussing like the vision boards and things like that, a good, if you want to purchase something, this is just me throwing a plug in there, the happiness planner. Taylor, I actually didn't get to keep one, so I don't even know what it fully like entails. I've skimmed through it. I know that it has the vision board, it has breaking the 30-day habit, it has little other things in there, but I think that's a good tool for them to use. What do you think?
I have it from the entrepreneurs branch. I'm not good with keeping up with like the activity parts of planners. So I think it was good though. For like the 2 days I actually did it, I thought that it was great because it reminds you to be mindful, and it forces you to think of the positive things that happen in your day and stuff like that. So if you guys are planner people, I've come to the conclusion that I'm a journal person. Just give me something to write in. You don't have to put all that extra stuff in me, and make sure it's small enough for me to carry it around. A lot of these planners are really big, but I think that it was something that was really cool. So definitely look into the happiness planner, y'all. I think it's a dope product. So, okay, so let's go down to these takeaways, y'all. So, few things I want you guys to take away from this conversation. If you don't remember anything else we said, we really want you guys to remember that first, personal development is a process. Don't feel down on yourself if you aren't where you need to be as far as your character goes, or as far as your self-esteem and things like that go. It's totally okay. It's a process. As long as you stay committed to bettering yourself and committed to the process and committed to making it to that next level, then you'll be fine. Next, identify those areas that you need to improve in and work on them now. Because while you're still building your business, you have the luxury of time a little bit. So while you're, especially those who are either preparing to start their business or who are really new in business, while you're still building your brand and figuring out like your marketing and your social media and your products and service and your revenue streams, all of that stuff, while you're still putting in that work, you can be working on those areas in your life that you can improve on. So say emotional intelligence, is an area that you need to improve on. Start reading those books and working on it now, so that once you get to the point where you're out there networking more and you're making these deals and you get to that outside business development work, then you'll already be ready. So preparation is key to your entrepreneurial journey. Like, you have to prepare for where you want to be, as opposed to just dealing with what you have now. And that's something that's important for me too. Like, I want to be a 6-figure business owner. So now I'm making sure I encompass the habits of the successful, and that I'm productive and I'm making the best use of my time. You know what I mean? So
that's why Tia's up at 5:30, y'all, in the morning. She's doing preparation.
And I'm about to get back on social media. I need to get back on earlier than I anticipated, just for the launch and stuff. So I'm gonna be Insta storying a lot, so y'all can see I'm really not playing. Like, I do be up at 5, and there are some days where if I let's say I convince myself I need to stay in the bed, there are days that I don't wake up at that time that I wanted to wake up. I know last week I woke up at 5 every day, but I think it was like 2 days. So I was kind of blown later on that I didn't wake up that early, but I still, accomplished my goals. I still worked out 4 days that week, as opposed to, let's say, the 7 that I wanted to. So even my, I guess, failure, so to speak, was still something extremely productive. But I'm going to show y'all going to be like, she's absolutely nuts. But follow me on Instagram and y'all will see I'm not playing. So next, you have to understand that you won't be motivated all the time. So create successful habits that allow you to be productive anyway. So just like we said last week, discipline kicks in when motivation wears off. And there's actually something I underlined in my Bible recently. So this is in Proverbs chapter 10, verse 17. So it says, the road to life is a disciplined life. Ignore correction and you'll be lost for good. So discipline is extremely, extremely important. And discipline is the foundation of wealth and all the blessings that you want. So you have to be disciplined, and don't worry about always being motivated. You got to be able to do the work even on your most unmotivated day. And then something else too is prepare for those days that you aren't motivated. So whether it be our podcast, whether it be somebody else's podcast, whether it be that playlist that gets you going, have that ammo. Whether it be writing down your wins of the week or your daily wins and putting them in like a jar or something like that in your house, to where whenever you're feeling unmotivated, you can pull it out and see something that you've accomplished, and it helps with your self-esteem or helps pump you up. Do what you got to do. Prepare that emergency kit for those days where you're not motivated, but you still need to get things done, because that's going to help a lot too. Next is something that we said earlier. Have people around that's going to speak life into you. That's extremely important. And distance yourself from those people that pull you down. You not reaching your goals is going to affect you. So don't let other people pull you back. And that could even go back to, I'm not even going to get into that. But just make sure that you have people around you that pour into you. And the last takeaway from today's conversation is, don't pump yourself up to do nothing. Hard work and strategic planning trump everything. And this is something that has to be said, because today's world with social media, you get 500 likes on a picture or on your new product or of your the new service you launch, and you think that means something. That doesn't mean anything. Don't pump yourself up, or don't let people pump you up not to do anything. Put in that work and know what real success means. If your bank account if you got more followers than you got in your bank account, then there's a problem. So just really make sure that you're not pumping yourself up not to do anything. Put in some real work so that you can get some real results, and not that fluffy stuff like social media. So, Milan, you got any other takeaways before we go to the questions and stuff?
No, you killed them.
All righty. So let's go before we go to questions, let me just reiterate some books. And these will be in the show notes, you guys. So if you want to go and read these books, or you're driving right now, something like that, don't worry, it's in the show notes. So the books that I mentioned were 13 Things Mentally Strong People Don't Do by Amy Morin. I didn't mention this, but another great book is Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. I know I mentioned How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. I mentioned Emotional Intelligence 2.0. I don't remember who wrote that one. Another great book is The Power of Habit I forgot who wrote that one, but you could find it if you Google it. And I think those are all the ones I mentioned. And again, if y'all need any book recommendations, let me know. I told y'all I'm a book nerd, so I probably got one for you. Oh, and the most important book is the Bible. So get that one.
Yeah, so just download the Sprinkle of Jesus app and you have a Bible right there. And you can change the versions of the Bible too on there.
Yes.
And it allows you to make notes, bookmarks, and it gives you like all these other options that you can do. So you don't have to just have the Message version. You can have the King James version and all the other ones that they offer for free.
Old school Baptist, or you can go new school church, whichever floats your boat.
For free. For free. You know what? I never understood like how they charge for the Bible.
No, real talk though, I don't understand.
I just thought about that. I'm like, for free? Shouldn't it be for free anyway? But yeah, download that Sprinkle of Jesus app and get your Bible.
All right, let's go to the questions. As usual, you guys, if you have a question, send us a message on Instagram at Black Girl Bosses, or you can send us an email, blackgirlbosses@gmail.com, or go to the website, www.blackgirlbosses.com.
Yes, so let's get into these questions. The questions this week were definitely meaningful and definitely long. So bear with me. If I have to go back and read it again, just let me know. So I'll try to pace myself and take as many pauses as necessary. So the first question comes from @1, the number 1, Jada, Jada. Says, hey, Milan and Tatum, I just wanted to say y'all are awesome and truly have been inspiring me to become my own boss. Thanks, girl. My question for y'all is, what is the most appropriate professional way to ask for your money? I work at a small advertising agency where my boss pretty much forgets to pay us. At one point, we were getting direct deposits, but something happened with the payroll company, so she has been giving us paper checks. Even with the automatic deposits, our money was not in our accounts when they were supposed to be because she would wait to close to payday to call in payroll. Sound like I wouldn't be in work the next day. Anyway, this is not just a once or twice thing. This is just about every pay period. Girl, you still working there? Am I wrong for feeling like it's not my job to remind my boss to pay me? This really bothers me because 1, I need my money, and 2, she is very nonchalant about it. I don't plan on being with this company much longer, but I want to learn just in case I need to ask my future clients for their payments when I become my own boss. Sorry this is so long, but I've been wanting to ask like-minded professionals about this for a while.
Girl, find another job, first of all. Like,
hey, quit this.
Are you wrong for feeling that way? Absolutely not. Like, you're working to get a check and you don't get your check. You shouldn't be working. Like, she's tried it. That's crazy. But girl, no, you're not wrong for feeling that way. But if you had a conversation with her about it already and she seems nonchalant and it's not improving, then just look for another job. Because she might, it seems as if, I'm just assuming here, that she's probably like an entrepreneur. This is a really, really small business. She's probably have a lot on her plate, all of that. And all of that is still not an excuse for her not to pay people. But to me, that would warrant enough for me to have a conversation with you as opposed to just like rolling out and saying F you. You know what I mean? But if you had that conversation with her already, then just find you another job. Let her know that you love working with her. You think that what she's doing is great. You appreciate the opportunity, but unfortunately, you can't pay your bills late because she's not paying you. Like, that's just not going to work. But just let her know that unfortunately you have to find another job so that you can make sure that you stay up to date with all your responsibilities. But you know, if things get better for her and she gets a better payroll process, then you would love to come back and continue the work that you're doing. Whether that's true or not is on you, but just have a mature conversation with her about it but let her know that you're leaving. Don't stick around and not get paid. Like, you can't call Comcast and be like, hey, so my boss is real lazy with payroll. Can I pay y'all next week? Like, it don't work like that. They're going to want their money time. So, yeah.
Yeah, no, seriously, just start looking for another job. You don't have to, leave on a bad note. Don't cuss her out or anything. Go emotional intelligence, go back to it, revisit it, because I know you're very frustrated right now. But just, look for somewhere else to go because, like you said, you need your money. And I just thought of, I forgot what movie is. I need my money on time. Forgot what movie that was. But when you said that part, that's all that played in my mind. But yeah, and start. I don't know what business you're gonna venture off into. You said you want to be your own boss, but now's the time. That was a sign to start, your own foundation. And as far as with your clients, reminding them to pay or paying, just set up your little, what is it? You can do automatic reminders and stuff on PayPal, or just remind them in the beginning of the month or whenever, that day to pay is, hey, just keep in mind that your day to pay based on our contract is the 2nd and 3rd, and, set it up that way. Or, I just think that people should know when they should have to pay you, though. That's just me, because they wouldn't miss on paying Comcast. They wouldn't miss on paying their phone bill, so.
Yeah. You should make sure when you start your business, just set up something to where it's like a auto pay. So they automatically get charged for whenever their payments due. But then, when you start your own business, you're going to have like contracts with terms and conditions that have to be abided by and things like that. You're going to have a protocol already created. Well, you should have a protocol and everything. And normally that includes like collection. So normally it might be something like if the invoice isn't paid on time, or if the payment doesn't go through the first time, we'll try again one more time or whatever. But then we'll add on like a fee for if it's late, or after a certain amount of attempts, we'll send the payment into collections, things like that. Like there's going to be a protocol when you have your business for missed payments. So you're not going to be calling people like, hey girl, can you pay me now? Or, hey, your payment was due 47 weeks ago. Can you pay me now? Like, you're not going to be doing that. So you don't have to worry about hassling people for money when you start your business.
Yeah, just set up that automatic pay. I'm not sure if PayPal has automatic pay. I don't think they do, but find the other system than PayPal. That's my best advice, because PayPal, people say, oh, I forgot that I could pay there. So no, and this is me telling you from personal experience, just find another outlet.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So our next question comes from Such a Scorpio 88. She says, I recently started my online plus size intimate apparel boutique called K Adore, and it's on Instagram, k.adore intimates. I'm really struggling with marketing. I just don't think it's creative enough. So my question for you ladies is, where do you go for marketing inspiration? And do you recommend looking at other pages in the same market as yours for ideas when it comes to ways to market your product or services?
So I have a few things to say about this one. First, you have to shift your mindset. So don't say, I just don't think I'm creative enough, because that's kind of like a cop-out. So yeah, some people are creative, some people are not creatives. Like, that's totally fine. But one thing you have to understand about marketing is it's just as much strategy as it is creative. What you're trying to do with marketing is figure out how you're going to get people to invest in your business. And then after you do that, you have to measure or reflect on or reassess what was successful, what wasn't, what had the best conversion rate. So if I did this Facebook ad, or if I did 2 test Facebook ads and one made me more money than the other one did, I'm gonna go with the other one. Or I'm getting a lot of money from these guest blogs that I'm doing on these sites, so let me keep doing guest blogs so that those can keep converting into sales. So if you're not creative, then that's fine, but definitely understand that marketing has a whole lot to do with strategy as well. So if you're more of that strategy person, that thinker, then you can do marketing too. The creative side, then you can just get with like maybe a mastermind group or get in a networking group of creatives, and y'all get together and put your head together and be like, yeah, so this is what I'm trying to do, and just let people mastermind with you and see what they come up with. But yes, definitely look at marketing not as I'm not creative enough, but just take it on as a challenge. Like, I need to tackle this marketing beast because that's what's going to drive sales. So switch your mindset a little bit. Next, to answer your question about where we go for marketing inspiration. So what I do is I take a lot of like online marketing courses. So I've done like an SEO course, and I've done courses on like email marketing. I've done like webinars on like Pinterest for business. Like I invest in a lot of people's not invest, but I invest my time in people's freebies and stuff like that who are good marketers so that I can learn about different things. So that's one thing that I do. I also read articles on publications like Forbes.com, Entrepreneur.com, FastCompany.com. They all have marketing sections where different people blog about marketing trends or where the marketing industry is going and things like that. And lastly, I'm a part of the American Marketing Association for my area. So that's something that you should do as well. Think of it as a challenge. If you want to master that marketing, which you should, join different organizations like that and get around people who know what it is you want to learn and invest in books and stuff like that. One book that I read was called Growth Hacker. And that was a really cool book. And it's really tech-based though, but it's a really good marketing book. And another book I read was, what was the name of that book? It's called Made to Stick, Why Some Ideas Stick and Others Don't. So that is a really good book as well. That kind of talks a lot about like business ideas and marketing and stuff like that. Also, I listened to Gary Vaynerchuk's podcast. He has a really good podcast and he's in the tech world too, but he has a lot of great insight on marketing. And something that he talks about a lot is you have to pay attention when it comes to, let's say you're trying to figure out where you should market at or where you should do advertisements at. You have to pay attention to where your target audience attention is. So he gave an example in one of his talks where the Super Bowl commercials. So for somebody who may not be able to afford that $4 million slot on a Super Bowl commercial, you have to then get a little bit creative and figure out, well, where is the attention of my target audience? And you have to understand their habits. So for us, when we're watching the Super Bowl, Milan, what do you do while watching the Super Bowl when the commercials come on?
What do I do? Oh, I like Super Bowl commercials.
Okay.
I actually sit there and watch them.
Well, a lot of people look at their phone. So there's a lot of exchanges going on social media. It's people talking about the game. It's people posting the score or whatever. So a lot of people, they're splitting their time between their phone and the commercials. I like the commercials too, but my phone is always in my hand because I'm trying to see what people are saying on social media. So if you can't afford to invest in, still using the Super Bowl example, if you can't afford to invest in that Super Bowl commercial, then you can put you a Facebook ad that happens during halftime of, well, unless Beyonce's performing, but that happens during halftime of the Super Bowl. So let's say if your target audience is, let's go with extremely general, if they're Black, okay, and let's say One Direction is performing at halftime, most of us is not paying that much attention. Most of us, now, sorry if you're a One Direction fan, but a lot of us are not really looking at One Direction like that. Now, if Beyonce was on the screen, don't put no Facebook ad or social media ad up then, because we ain't looking. We looking at the queen, okay? But if it's
who's looking
or somebody up there, then you can put that ad in during halftime because 9 times out of 10, your demographic is scrolling on their phone. So you got to know your target audience that well to be able to predict their habits. And that's how you start marketing effectively. And the last thing is pay attention. When you talked about competitors, you said, do you recommend looking for pages in the same market for ideas? No, because that's how you end up just being a copycat. So no. But what you should do is definitely be aware of your competitors. Doing a competitor analysis is a key component of your marketing strategy. So you have to know what your competitors are doing, but you're not paying attention to them with the intent to use their ideas. You're paying attention to them to find the opportunities or the holes in their strategy that you can fill. So you're paying attention to them to see what are people saying. So you have a apparel line. So let's say Victoria's Secret is a competitor, right? So if people are constantly talking about Victoria's Secret orders take way too long to ship out, that's what all the reviews are saying, that's what the comments and their social media is saying, then your selling point can be short orders, all our orders ship within 24 hours. So now you're filling a gap that your competitors left open. You know what I'm saying? So that's why you look at competitors, is to figure out what are their strengths, what are their weaknesses, what are their opportunities, what are their threats, that SWOT analysis. And so when you see a gap like that, that's when you swoop in your marketing strategy and start using that messaging to get those people to come and purchase from you as opposed to purchasing from them.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with Tatum. And also with your target market, I always suggest, like Tim said, don't be a copycat, don't copy anybody, but doing a competitive analysis is key, and to see what your market lacks overall, seeing what that market lacks overall, and then you can see what more you can offer. It's not being a copycat, but knowing exactly your market, knowing what you all lack, because every market lacks something. The PR market lacks something, the clothing industry lacks something, everybody lacks something. So just knowing how you can take what you lack and make it your own is another great way to differentiate yourself from your competitors, because 9 times out of 10 they're not really looking at their market and what they're lacking. Victoria's Secret may, and that goes to what Tatum said, okay, sure, they say, oh, you can get free shipping if you come in the store, if you do this or the third, but then it could be, oh, well, yeah, I got free shipping, but it's moving slow. So now you can, okay, offer free shipping, and now that's the sell point for you, where now you offer free shipping and it's fast.
Yep. I agree.
That's my spiel. That's my little spiel. But other than that, those are all the questions we have.
Cool. Thank you guys so much for submitting your questions. And let's go straight through. We ain't even taking no breaks this week.
Ain't no breaks.
No breaks, bitch. So the wins of the week. So Milan, we haven't done this, it seems like, in like a couple weeks. So
I feel like people haven't had any wins. What's going on, guys? Are y'all okay? Y'all probably have wins that don't feel like they're important. Every win is important, and we want to celebrate it. So we don't care how small it is. We don't care if you found the penny. Tell us you found the penny, because that penny could turn into $1 million one day.
Exactly. So yes, I agree.
Okay, so the first win, let me make sure I got my yes together, because y'all really be trying to play me. So but I've been doing good. Give me that. Give me that much that I have been doing good with the yes. I have not had mishap.
I had a funny story about that. So I had a call with someone this week, and she listens to the podcast. Uh-huh. So I forgot what we were talking about. We said something. She was like, yes, yes. So I started dying.
Funny story. My mom sent me an email with the yes button. She said, this is perfect for the podcast. Here you go. I might have to look into purchasing the yes button. So shout out to Mom for being a plug on that. So our first win for the week, our first and only win from our listener says, from such a Scorpio 88. Hey girl, hey. Again, I started y'all podcast Wednesday and caught up to date. I'm hooked. Definitely enjoying and appreciating this podcast and everything I'm learning from it. Yes.
Thank you guys so much for your support.
Definitely. We hope that you will continue to be a frequent listener and enjoying the episodes, and hope that you took a lot from the answers that we just gave back for your question.
Yeah, and definitely ask us more questions. If you want to follow up or you want to clarify on something, then don't hesitate to ask us a follow-up question, because we do answer them. We're not that popping yet where we don't be answering questions.
And I think that even when God by God's grace, when we do get that popping, we'll still do the same thing. Never change up. That's the song from Lil Yachty, YNF Lucci. Yeah, YNF Lucci. Every day we lit. He said that he'll never change up, is what he said. Boom. Quoted. Y'all, I don't listen to music, so I listen to it vicariously through Snapchat, social media. So when I find a song that I really like and I can quote it, I'm gonna throw it in there.
That's funny.
All right, T-Dog. So what's your wins? I always go first. You go first.
Okay, so I just have a couple. So all of the products for the Queen and Group are finito, baby. Woo-hoo!
Yes, I love it.
That took so much. Like, I swear I wanted to sit in silence because I'm talking in so many of them just because my overachieving self, I'm like, no, I have to elaborate on this. I don't want to just do the text. Like, y'all, I need to explain this. So I'm talking in almost all of them. And one of them, and some of them, I'm like, yo, I really just decided to do this. Like, one of the bundles, there's actually a frequently asked questions recording. And so there are 35 questions that I answer that we get a lot. So it's a lot of questions that have been asked on a podcast, a lot of questions of people that I met, a lot of questions of people that ask at like events and stuff like that. And I pulled together 35 of them and answer every last one of them. And it wasn't like I went to the podcast and cut out the parts where we answered them on the show. I re-answer every last one of them joints. I was in the house like, what? Like, I wanted to do it because, of course, like, that's something that's valuable to my audience. But just sitting there, I sat there literally for an hour and a half. I had to take breaks to get water. Like, I answered 35 questions. It was crazy, and that's just one of the many things that is a part of these bundles and stuff. So it was a lot of work to get everything done. So I'm hyped that I'm finished. I'm excited to start the fun stuff, which is the content and the marketing for the launch and stuff like that. So shout out to y'all for just being dope target audiences. And shout out to this podcast for just helping me a lot with, just understanding better exactly what my target audience wants. So I'm excited and I'm so happy to be done with that.
Yes. Y'all hear them yes vocals today. They strong.
So one more. My dog is healthy. I know I talked to y'all about his little vet visit, but he didn't have to get surgery, thank God, because that surgery is about to be $2,000. And what? That's just too much. But he's healthy. He's been taking his little medicine every day. He's back to his normal hyperactive self. So I'm excited about that. I'd have been so depressed if something was wrong with my baby for that long.
Yes. First of all, y'all, let me tell y'all how Tatum's dog tried to get freaky with me. Oh, licking on my chest, my elbow, anything that he could find on me to lick, he was licking. I said, listen, sir, he is not in that type of relationship. I had to he was shooting hard too, okay? He was going to the rim like LeBron, okay? He was not playing. I said, listen, sir, I had to put him down a couple of times. And then he just so cute. I kept wanting to pick him back up. And then he just wanted to lick on me. So I just had to deal with it at the end of the day. It's cool though, but I'm definitely glad that he is healthy. That is her baby. And he's such a sweetie pie. Loves to be up under you. Clearly, I just say he was looking on me, but he loves to be up under you. He's just so cute. So I'm definitely happy that he is back to health.
Yes, me too. So what's your wins?
Girl, I finished my final paper for my class.
I'll turn up.
Yes, and I sat, listen, y'all, I sat for 5 hours straight. For me to sit in one spot for 5 hours.
You?
Yes, I sat down for 5 hours and did not move. Like, I lied to y'all, I didn't use the bathroom. I didn't go eat. I didn't do nothing. Like, I literally sat for 5 hours.
Wow.
To complete that paper. So my paper is done. I received my graduation tickets in the mail yesterday. So your girl is graduating in 27 days with her master's degree.
Yes.
I put out that the company is now accepting new clients, I think like 2 days ago, and I received new client requests. So I have to go through them and email those potential clients back for their consultations. But I did receive 3, so that is definitely a plus, because in entrepreneurship, as we will talk about later in the series, it is those times where your goods and services may not be selling. It may not be the peak that you're looking for. You may be at a fall where you're just like, okay, so now what? Like, I'm not receiving any clients. I'm not receiving anything. And that's where I kind of was at. I'm like, okay, my clients' contracts are coming up, coming to an end, and we're very stagnant. Like, it's nothing happening. So I was like, I'm getting kind of nervous. So those 3 client requests are definitely the sunshine I needed in the dark. So. Yes. And
you'll be telling us they're contracted. So we'll wait for that good news.
Yeah, definitely wait for that good news, because consultations, sure, that's fine. You know, people don't mind doing consultations, but when it comes down to those contracts is when they have the issues of of commitment. So let's keep our fingers crossed and just send a prayer up for me that I do get 3 new contracts. So that'll definitely be a blessing in disguise. And what else? Did I have another one? I don't think I did. I have another one? I don't think I had another one. Maybe I did, and I just completely forgot. Oh, well, we'll save it for next week, because clearly if it wasn't at the forefront, then I didn't need to share it yet. So, yeah, those
so simple. Thank you so much for hanging in there with us another week. Again, I know we talked about a lot in this episode. So, also, I forgot about this. You guys, make sure that you're on our email list, because if you're on our email list, then while we're going through this series, we're going to be sending you a bunch of resources that we mentioned or talked about in the episode. So if you want those exclusives, then you have to be on our email list. And so in order to get on our email list, go to www.blackgirlbosses.com and sign up so that you don't miss out. Like, this is free stuff to help you grow your business. So definitely sign up for the list. And that's it. Next week, you guys, we will be joined by Marcus White, who's a financial planner. So we're going to be talking coins. How do you save that money to be a full-time entrepreneur? How do you plan your finances? How do you manage your money, whether your business is still a side hustle or whether it is your full-time gig or not? We're going to be talking about money, 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 money. So,
money, money.
Right. So tune in next week. Thank you guys again. And that's a wrap.
Yeah.